This is the fourth of 7 videos on process choice. In this video, we try to understand the batch process. The batch process is the third from the left as well as from the right on the process choice spectrum. It comes immediately after the project and the job shop. To understand the batch process, let's take the example of an offset printer. An offset printing process is used for producing a variety of printed products such as notebooks, textbooks, fiction novels, calendars, diaries, a lot of things, including newspapers, are produced by the offset printing process. In an offset printing process, the printed product is produced in large batches, not in small number of copies. It is not economical to print just a few copies as in our laser printer or a digital printer. So typically large volumes such as 1,000 copies, 3,000 copies, 5,000 copies, and so on are produced. Sometimes it could be lakhs of copies. It also produces sometimes in demand, forecasting of demand is done, and in advance production is done, and the customer may order later. This is called make to stock production. It also has make to order. Customers place an order for a particular book or a calendar, and then the printing job is done. So both make to stock and make to order happen in a batch process like with an offset printer. This is another example, a photograph showing commercial bakery production. In this picture, we see cream buns being produced. You can see that a typical batch of cream buns may have anywhere between 150 to 200 cream buns happening or being produced at one shot. So this schematic helps us to understand a batch process. We see again, just like in the job shop, a large number of machines. And a job, let's say job A requires machines 1 and 2 in that sequence. Job B requires machines 3, 4, and 2. Job C requires machines 1, 2, and 6. And job D requires machines 5, 6, and 2 in these sequences. Now, the difference between this and a job shop, if you look closely, is that in a job shop, we saw the flows being more jumbled. The orders were more random than here. Here we see typically machines 2 and 6 both coming towards the end of the process for all the products, and the flows look more streamlined as compared to a job shop. So the jumbling, the level of jumbling comes down in a batch process as compared to a job shop. There is a relatively higher level of streamlining and repetitiveness in the work. So summarizing the characteristics of a batch process, there is lesser job variety in comparison to a job shop or a project. There is lower customization, relatively higher volumes, and a relatively higher degree of standardization. The flows are more standardized than in a job shop, and there might be some dominant flows present. For example, an offset printer might get one type of product, like one type of a textbook in large volumes repeatedly throughout the year. And both make to order and make to stock happen. Examples, offset printing, we just saw this. Steel making, secondary steel making. After the initial iron is made, then there is steel making. Special types of steels are produced, and that happens in a batch process. A tour service, like for example, a pilgrimage service, an adventure tour, an educational tour, a fun tour. So these kind of things happen. The tour operators may operate these in batches, repeat batches and batches of customers who want to avail these tours. Commercial bakery production, food production, we saw this. Educational and training services. Students are admitted in batches from the perspective of the educational institution, not from the perspective of the student. From the perspective of the institution, the student enters as a part of a large batch, and the batch is processed. Every year, a new batch enters in a program and graduates from the same program. Pharmaceutical manufacturing also happens in large batches. So these are examples of batch processes. As we saw, batch process is slightly more standardized than in a job shop. The volumes are larger. The level of flexibility is slightly lower. So with this, we conclude our discussion on the batch process. In the subsequent video, we will look at the line flow process and then afterwards the continuous flow process. Thank you.